Bowl eligibility is on the line for the Red Raiders on Senior Day on Saturday against the UCF Knights. And if they do these three things, well, their chances of beating the said Knights skyrocket. Hey, how's it going, everybody? It's RC Maxwell here for the Back to 12 podcast. If you haven't already, be sure to like the video, hit that subscribe button, and you might as well hit that notification bell too to stay in the know on Texas Tech football all year long. Yes, we'll be having videos throughout the offseason as well, whether it's regards to the transfer portal, recruiting, and so much more. We've got you covered right here on the most engaging Texas Tech community on YouTube in the Back to 12 podcast channel. All right, before we get into the keys to the game for this one against the UCF Knights, let's look at the spread, right? And that's where it is right now. Texas Tech is currently 3-point favorites. Typically, Vegas gives the 3 points to the home team, so it almost feels like a pick 'em in that regard, but Texas Tech is in fact favored. I put my prediction down there as well with the total over under at 60.5. I have the Red Raiders winning 36-28 in this one. I think we potentially have a shootout, but I want to hear from you guys in terms of your score prediction. Let me know down on the pinned comment below who you have winning this one. You got the UCF Knights, you got the Texas Tech Red Raiders, and leave your score down below. But without further ado, let's jump into the keys of the game for me, for Texas Tech against UCF. And we'll start with number one. You have to slow the Knights offense down. Listen, JRP is legit, man. He's one of the best dual threat quarterbacks, not only in the Big 12, but in the country. Maybe one of the best athletes, too, as he also plays for UCF on their baseball team. There's a really cool video, actually, last year of him doing the spring game and then going to play a baseball game. Highly encourage you to go check that out. Anyway, listen, I know it's easier said than done to slow down this UCF Gus Malzahn offense, right? I know that. But the Red Raiders defensive line and edge rushers have to set the edge and contain in this game. It is pivotal if the Red Raiders want to win this football game and secure bowl eligibility, right? You think about Harvey in the backfield. Really solid runner, already over 1,000 yards with 2 games to go. Just explosive, averaging north of 5.5 yards a carry, right? Then you got JRP. He's back. He looks healthy. And we know what the Knights did last weekend against Oklahoma State. And we'll talk about that and how it impacts the Red Raiders on offense here in point number 2. But guys that I'm looking for in this one, Miles Cole, you should have Steve Linton back, according to Joey McGuire. They're going to have to set the edge. Joseph Adedire, others on the outside to funnel the UCF run game between the tackles and get them inside to guys like Tony Bradford, Jalen Hutchings, Quincy Ledet, all those guys, right? Because you feel a lot better in terms of limiting the big plays from the Knights if they don't have that bounce out potential. And if you don't contain the edge, I'm telling you right now, Texas Tech fans, it's going to be a long damn day at the office because there is a ton of speed on this UCF offense, and you have to contain them, right? They're going to get their big plays, hopefully only 1 or 2 if you're a Texas Tech fan. But if you can limit them bouncing outside to the edge, getting a block that they need to create a 20, 30-yard gain and really funnel them inside, you're going to have a much better chance at winning. And again, I understand this is no easy task. I understand that, right? Like UCF is a good offense. They rank top 10 nationally in multiple offensive categories, right? But as I mentioned in the preview video, Texas Tech has to push JRP up, right, into the pocket. He has to go into the pocket in terms of towards Tony Bradford, towards Jalen Hutchings, because that allows you to have a spy there. And if you can have a spy, maybe a guy like Jacob Rodriguez, maybe Ben Roberts, Josiah Pierre, Bryce Ramirez, the list goes on and on, right? If you have a spy there, you limit the big time plays, and it doesn't allow JRP to get outside the pocket and have a bunch of those off scripted plays where it seems like the Knights really, really thrive. All right, let's get into key number 2 here, and we're talking about it in the sense of, talked about it in the preview as well, but let's go a little bit more in depth here. The Texas Tech offensive line has to win the line of scrimmage battle. Can they do that? Because if they don't, again, long day at the office. What's the best way to slow a high-powered offense down? Don't let them have the ball and don't let them on the field, right? It's really that simple, right? When it comes down to it. Again, like point number 1, easier said than done, but in theory, that's what it is. The Texas Tech offensive line in terms of the run game has been solid, even good at times this year, but consistently just solid. UCF allows the most rushing yards per game, their defense does, to opposing teams at 195.9, almost 200 rushing yards per game, right? Now, the Knights will no doubt focus in on Taj Brooks, as they should, one of the best running backs in the Big 12, a guy that has almost, 8, I believe, 100-yard games this season. I mean, he's been arguably the best running back in the Big 12, given the circumstances of the Texas Tech offense playing 3 quarterbacks, right? And teams just being able to focus on him and the production level that he still had. I'm fully aware that UCF is probably going to put 6, maybe even 7 guys in the box at some points and just be like, hey, Texas Tech, can your receivers get separation? Can Baron Morton throw a good ball outside quickly, make that read, right? Like, they're going to do that. But the big question for me in this is, can the Texas Tech offensive line win the battle, obviously, against the UCF line of scrimmage? Because there's 2 trains of thought for me here, right? UCF, who's going to show up here? Is it going to be the team that allowed 300 rushing yards to Texas, a team that allowed over 250 rushing yards to Kansas State? Or is it going to be the team we saw last week against Oklahoma State, a top 15 team in the college football playoff rankings, where UCF just dominated them? And that's an Oklahoma State team that has arguably the best young running back in the conference, right? Like, which UCF defensive line and defensive scheme are you going to see against the run? The one against Texas and Kansas State, or are you going to see the Oklahoma State version, right? I think it's probably somewhere in between. I think Texas Tech can run. Now, the offensive line is going to have to show out because UCF, they're on a high right now when it comes to what they've done defensively, given their result last week. But if Texas Tech can dictate the line of scrimmage and keep the ball away from the UCF Knight offense, you've got a really good chance. All right, predict it though. You know we love Taj on this channel. It's always Taj time here on the Back to 12 podcast channel. How many rushing yards will the running back for the Red Raiders have against the UCF Knights? Let me know down in the comments below. All right, number 3, it goes back to the Texas Tech offense here, and it's about the play-action passing game because really key number 2 and key number 3 kind of mesh together here. And the reason being is this. Can Texas Tech take advantage of the UCF secondary if UCF does put 6, 7 guys in the box? If you look at the stats, UCF and their defense, they're actually pretty good against the pass because, well, teams run on them for almost 200 yards a game. They only give up about 205 passing yards per game to the Knights, right? But you think about that in the stack boxes, as I just previously mentioned, what happens if Texas Tech only has man-and-man and maybe a single high safety in cover 1 on some of these plays? Can Baron Morton take advantage in the quick passing game and the RPO and the play-action pass type setting? Because if you get 7 guys going downhill and you have one-on-one with Coy Aiken, one-on-one with Miles Price, one-on-one with Duran Bradley on the outside, like, I'm going to take that shot, right? And we know Baron Morton is too. Perfect example, what he did with Duran Bradley to win that Kansas game, at least set them up for the game-winning field goal with just a few seconds left on the clock in Lawrence last week, right? To me, that's really where Texas Tech is going to have to capitalize, is if you do see 6, 7 guys coming downhill in the run game, in the RPO, in the play-action pass type setting, can you take advantage? Because if you do, I think there is 4 or 5 chunk play opportunities in the making for the Red Raiders in this game. And if you get those, I really think you set yourself up for success. Make UCF press offensively, and maybe JRP throws a pick or 2, or maybe there's a fumble and you can go back to those Take 3 university days, right? So I think that's where Texas Tech is going to have to go. And I said it right here on the bottom line. This feels like a game where Texas Tech will need 2 or 3. I think 4 or 5 will present themselves, but do you capitalize on them? Right? Because again, 6, 7 guys coming downhill, it's hard to stop your momentum. When you think it's run, 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 oh, Baron Morton just pulled. Now it's one-on-one across the deck if you're Baron Morton, and we know Baron Morton likes to take those shots. So those are the 3 keys to the game for me for Texas Tech against the UCF Knights. The first ever matchup between these 2 schools should be a fun one on Senior Day out in the 806 if you're able. Be sure to go support those seniors out at Jones AT&T Stadium. And before you head out of here, let me know one more time your score prediction, UCF and Texas Tech, who you got. I've already given you my score prediction one more time with the odds and my predictions down below. And before you head out of here, be sure to like the video, hit that subscribe button. You might as well turn on that notification bell to stay in the know on Texas Tech football all year long, not just in the season. The offseason, too, we've got you covered with recruiting, the portal, and so much more. This is your one-stop shop for everything Texas Tech football with the most engaging Texas Tech community on YouTube right here on the Back to 12 podcast channel.